Welcome back to The Moment. It's your old pal, Meredith Lynch. I've been up since 5:30 a.m. fighting with Katie Miller, and I am ready to talk about so much. And I'm so glad because, as always, I have my wonderful co-host, partner in crime, Rebecca Senanez is in the house. And y'all, you first met her in TikTok on, I would say, 2020. Right? Yeah. I mean, like, we're going back. This is old school TikTok. Yep. Mrs. Frazzled. She uses her background as a teacher, a mom, and a political content creator to help people understand how education policy shapes our lives. There's no one quite like her. She's also like, let's just give a second to the comedic chops of Mrs. Frazzled, because but today on the show, we have some less funny stuff, unfortunately. Friend of the show, just because I adore him and so does Rebecca, Don Lemon has been taken into federal custody along with journalist Georgia Fort for their reporting on a protest in a Minneapolis church earlier this month. The Senate has delayed DHS funding deadline by 2 weeks. The government won't shut down while they negotiate reforms for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. The FBI raids a Georgia operations center as part of their investigation into allegations that the 2020 election was stolen. By the way, Tulsi Gabbard was there? I don't know. And if we have some time, we'll get into Melania's movie debut, which is hitting theaters today. Will it be the comeback for movie theaters? And later, Representative Jimmy Gomez of California stops by to talk about the future of ICE funding and what the administration is up to for the elections and more. Y'all, welcome to The Moment. It's good to have you here.
It's The Moment. Mrs. Frazzled, you are on mute, my friend.
I know. I'm like, I don't want to jump. You're doing so good. I just am watching. I'm like in awe.
Wow, she's so comforting. I will never, I remember in 2020, you being like, Donald, we need to use our indoor voice. Like, it's like such an old school Mrs. Frazzled. Like, that's how we need to be talking to this freaking fool.
I know. It really does have a lot of application that's very useful. And people are like, I really miss when that was like the bulk of your content. And I'm like, me too. Me too, you guys.
I know. That's the thing. I'm like, listen, I liked it when you were just eating in your car too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're an OG. You're a real fan.
Oh,
that's real.
Listen, you guys, I stan a kindergarten teacher. Fun fact, I'm still friends with my kindergarten teacher.
Really?
Oh my God.
Yes. I was kicked out of one kindergarten and sent to another. And she was like, oh God, this is going to be a problem child. And then she was like, you're the nicest little kid. You're a great kid.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah. Mrs. Hoffman, wherever you are right now, forever. You are a forever queen.
Mrs. Hoffman.
Yeah. But yeah, Rebecca, I want to kick it to you first because you are our journalist. You went to J school. You did the things you know about the First Amendment. And we woke up this morning and Vienna, our executive producer, who's on the East Coast, so she's up and at 'em before us. She sent us this thing that Don Lemon had been arrested. And I want to know, like, first, I want to just know from both of you, like, what was your reaction? And like, then Rebecca, like, what can we expect? Mrs. Frazzled, I just want to know what you thought first. Like, what was your quick thought?
I was just horrified. I mean, I literally woke up and saw the news and I was like, they have arrested 2 Black people, a woman, a gay man. Like they are starting with this like journalist arrest of just it's like the playbook they always use when they're going to do horrible shit. And I'm just like, I woke up and I was like frazzled, for lack of a better word.
Frazzled, yeah.
Part of the brand. So
yeah.
I believe, like, on our text chain, my genuine reaction was holy shit. Like, Vienna sent that to me and I was like, oh, like, I've been like a little bit freaking out all morning. I think, like you said, I went to journalism school. I like did sort of like old school NPR. Like, I did it like from like the barest bones of journalism. And like, I kind of grew up in my career to be like the different, like when they started arresting journalists is when it's over. You know what I mean? Like that was.
Can we just talk about for a second, Rebecca, what the First Amendment is and what it isn't? Because I will say this, I think there's a lot of confusion for lay people on what the First Amendment is. The First Amendment does not mean that Meredith Lynch can say whatever she wants about Bethany Frankel. And I learned that the hard way, folks. So what does the First Amendment actually protect us from?
Well, it's freedom of speech, period. But it can be like contested in all sorts of different ways, right? Like you can't defame people, you can't libel people, you can't incite violence, you can't do hate crimes. But like then you're taken to court for those things. But the First Amendment like includes voting, it includes your right to protest, it includes the rights of journalism, like free and fair speech, and like. It's hard to imagine, like I was reporting in Cuba for a long time, and Cuba does not have a First Amendment. And so like when I went to Cuba, this is like kind of a longer story, but like I had two options. You can either register with the government as a journalist because the government controls the journalists. And that gives you the ability to get into places like hospitals, which are also government run, but then they control what you can say, what you can see, what you can do. And like, that's not what it's like in the United States. In the United States, you don't need the government to approve what you're reporting on, where you go, who you talk to. And in this specific case, these two journalists, Georgia Fort and Don Lemon, went with a group of protesters into a church. And the protesters went in and they were just sort of following them, which that is a journalist's job. And by the way, I remember seeing this, Don Lemon interviewed I believe it was the pastor of the church who they were going after. And like, I'm sorry, it's not trespassing if you then get to interview the person there, right? Like, that's not what it is. And like this whole thing, I mean, I have no doubt Don Lemon has great lawyers. He's extremely visible. I think that he will get out of this, but just the fact that they are using their resources to overstep in this way. And by the way, like as a reminder, the FBI went after a Washington Post reporter maybe 2 weeks ago now. They went into her house to seize documents. They can't do that either, And it's just like, it's all such a degradation. Like to me, I was thinking about it and I was like, we've just degraded journalism so much in the past 10 years. Like local journalism is like completely underfunded. And the fact that these are two independent journalists too is like, when I went into journalism, the idea was also like you had an institution behind you. And so you weren't as susceptible to this type of thing. You had like lawyers around you, and like more and more that's going away. And so for people like Don Lemon, who has the resources and visibility to fight that, like he is an institution in himself in a lot of ways. But that's different than this woman, Georgia Fort, who like when she comes out of this, I'm like, where do I go donate to your legal fund? Because that's one that I'm really scared about. And it's just chilling. It's just like the people who are going, I mean, like even me is like, it's like, then you start to go out and you think, okay, let me go through the checklist of them in my head. Like, am I genuinely prepared for agents to come to my house? Like that is now a possibility. And it's whether or not they end up in jail or not, which like I said, I don't think they will. It's more like people are going to really think about whether they can be out there. They're like, can I afford this? Can my children live without me if I go for a day and I get detained? Like it is really just chilling to everybody, and like should be talked about that way.
Well, from what I understand, the next step here is that Don was out in LA covering the Grammys too. So like that's the other piece of it. Like he's not, I mean, I'm sure that he's always on the lookout for like, and we do think that ICE is, I mean, they are ramping up their presence here in Los Angeles, but he was here to cover the Grammys. He will now go before a judge. And I guess my question is like, do we think that any judge who's like halfway good at their job is going to say like, oh yeah, this person is like a danger, we can't like release them? Like, what do we think comes next here? Does he get put on bail? Like what happens?
I think that they probably release him and then like start like the court proceedings and all that. I can't imagine if they give him bail, it's going to be so low because like he's not a flight risk, right? Like where's he going to go? He's a public figure. Like bail is usually there. I mean, one is like a punishment system, but two, for flight risks. So like I kind of think he'll get out, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I want to hear from Mrs. Frazzled because I feel like you make this content where you talk about the administration in a variety of ways. Sometimes it's comedic, sometimes it's more serious and sharing policy. And like when you woke up this morning, did it sound off any alarms for your own content?
Well, I think for a while, there's been like concerns about them coming for content creators next. And I mean, I just think they come for journalists first, and it's just horrible. This is literally the fascist playbook.
Right.
I think alarm bells have been going off for a long time for me, honestly. And when I see news like this, one of the first things I wonder is, will this set off alarm bells for anybody new who hasn't been maybe as clued in? And I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for people to wake up.
We have a clip of Georgia Ford that I think would be helpful to play because I feel like she's more in the boat that the three of us probably feel like we could be in. So let's go ahead and we're going to cue that clip.
At my door right now, they're saying that they were able to go before a grand jury sometime, I guess, in the last 24 hours, and that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've talked to my attorney, and I'm being advised to go with them, I guess, down to Whipple. And my children are here. They're impacted by this. This is all stemming from the fact that I filmed a protest as a member of the media. We are supposed to have our constitutional right of the freedom to film, to be a member of the press. I don't feel like I have my First Amendment right as a member of the press because now federal agents are at my door arresting me for filming the church protest a few weeks ago. Again,
do we know where she's based?
Minneapolis.
She said Whipple, so she must be.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a local independent journalist in Minneapolis. Okay. And like I've been following her this past month. Like I didn't know her before this month, but she's been like very on the ground and like clearly an apt journalist. And like I said, local journalism has just been like decimated over the past decade. And so the fact that she's found a way and local journalism is so important. And like I could go on like a whole rant on why I think part of the problem in our country is that we only have local news. I mean, only have national news now and no local news. But like, I can guarantee that is not a wealthy woman. Like I can guarantee that is a working woman who works for her money. And like the thought of somebody coming to your door in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning for you doing your job, probably for not a lot of money, is terrifying. Like I said it before on the show, is like whenever I feel like the news is particularly awful and fascist, I'm like, well, you know what? Nobody, like I just spent an hour ranting about how much I hate about what's going on and nobody's come and knocked on my door so far. And this morning I was like, yeah, but maybe not,
Yeah, I think one of the things I keep thinking about is, Trump probably loves nothing more than the fact that local journalism has been decimated, right?
Oh,
and that,
sure.
That was happening long before Trump, to be honest, right? Like, that has to do with funding sources and my old friend private equity and many other things, and consolidation and having people like Jeff Bezos at the helm of big, media conglomerates. But I keep thinking of that part in Jurassic Park where Jeff Goldblum says life finds a way. And the thing about journalism is it doesn't stop. So you can decimate local journalism, right, but people will still do it. So this is the way they're going to do it. You can decimate even, to some extent, mainstream media has been decimated.
Sure.
Large,
Yeah.
So it's not just local journalism, but you're never going to stop people. And this has been since time immemorial of getting out there. And this is literally information sharing. And you're never going to stop that. So I just think that's something to think about. Like, it doesn't, like, Trump, I know you're the number one viewer of the moment. But like, you can keep pushing this down, but it's not going to stop. Like, it's fucking whack-a-mole. We will come back. We will find a new way. The information will continue to be shared. But we don't like it. So, you know what we like kind of don't mind, though, is that the Senate Democrats have reached a deal with Republicans and the White House to pass 5 spending bills that would fund parts of the government and avoid a shutdown. The biggest point of contention here is the Department of Homeland Security is not fully funded. Instead, lawmakers agreed to a short 2-week stopgap measure while negotiations continue over guardrails for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. But this means that things are not resolved. They're just delayed. And so, first of all, I want to ask you both, like, were you surprised that the Senate ended up like where it is with this and not going to a shutdown?
No.
And you weren't surprised.
I want Frazzled to go because she said in the chat, I have deeply unpopular opinions about this, and we are here for the unpopular opinions.
We love it.
Okay, and I have asked, for the record, I have asked 9 people, was this a secret? Am I the only one that knows this information? And nobody answers me, so I'm going to just go ahead and tell you. I was fully aware that they were on board for giving this $10 billion before Preddy was murdered. They were like on the news. Patty Murray even was like, yeah, we're going to do reforms. Cory Booker was doing the press tour. We're going to do reforms. We're going to do body cams. And they just need the $10 billion so that they could do it. They just do. So then Preddy's murdered, right? So at that point, they've murdered. And really, people are like, well, the public outcry was the turning point. I wish it was, you guys. I know that the actual turning point was the fact that Republicans then were like, this is fucked up because, this guy was it's an open carry state. He had a permit. Like, he was a legally openly carrying guy. So they were like, we can't make that phone into a gun. So then there were 7 Republicans that were going to flip. They were going to vote with Dems to block it. Then Bovino's pulled out of Minnesota or whatever. And they then were like, well, you know what? Maybe we can reform ICE. Maybe we can just go back. And then all of a sudden it's, well, we're going to do a 2-week break and we're going to, at the end of the 2 weeks, have a vote. Well, in this 2 weeks, what they're trying to do is get these like guardrails, quote unquote, for ICE in the thing. And I bet you anything that Republicans are going to put those guardrails into this thing. They're going to then in midterms say, look, we put reforms and we tried to put guardrails on ICE. We worked with Democrats across the aisle on this. They're going to be the ones that get the benefit. And then who's going to enforce the guardrails for the Dems? Pam Bondi? Bondi? I'm sorry. Like, even if we get everything we fucking ask for, that's not going to happen. So I'm like, people are like, no, but take the win, Fraz, take the win. And I'm like, it's not a win. It was never a win. And it's a cave. Like, it just is. So that's my deeply unpopular opinion. And I respect everybody can have their feelings.
I don't think it's unpopular at all. I think you just said exactly like, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Fraz. I think that was it. Sorry, go Meredith. I just want to just like co-sign.
No, I agree. I'm like, I think it's a really good point. And it's also like, how about we just abolish ICE? Like, that's
Meredith.
Just abolish it.
Yes. Or at least say you're going to.
Like, we have such a short attention span as a country. Like, the fact that like the Alex Preddy thing finally got the attention of celebrities and I guess Republicans and like, great, but like use this moment, like a 2-week stopgap. In 2 weeks from now, everybody's gonna be paying something attention. Like, and I do feel like the Trump administration is really smart at one thing, which is like attention. And they are like, Minnesota is like, terrible things are still happening, but it's like they're trying to calm it down over there. And it's like they're losing their political momentum, I guess, is like in 2 weeks, Alex Preddy's name will be like number 14 on the list of things that people are talking about.
They're
And like
releasing 3 million Epstein files today.
Are they?
We're moving.
We're moving. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like we're moving. Don Lemon is being, like it is a nonstop train. And like my fear with this is like in 2 weeks from now, it's going to be like, okay, we got some, they're going to have QR codes on their jackets. Like we need the political momentum. And then like what, like we know that somebody is going to get killed again. We also know, by the way, I just really quick, and I know we have to move on, but like the picture of Liam Ramos, the little boy who was used as bait in Minneapolis with the little bunny hat, the picture of him in the Dilley detention center that Joaquin Castro and Jasmine Crockett went to visit. Like, this is a sick baby. This is sick. This is so freaking sick. I'm working on my taxes right now and it makes me freaking ill. And like the momentum is here now. I don't know. I'm like losing my mind. Sorry.
I'm just a little triggered that Rebecca's already working on her taxes. I think that's...
sorry, let me be clear. I'm working on my taxes from last year.
Oh, phew. Okay. All right.
I'm working
Thank
on
God.
the taxes that I fucked up last year.
Okay, never mind. I mean, listen, I never know if I'm going to open up.
You don't have to worry. It's like, this is like, I'm in a deep hole over here. Don't worry.